The moment that I had with my 4-year-old, who's now 17, I want to be the dad that never put my hands on my kids out of anger.
What would you need to happen, or what would is it that you would need to be true in order to forgive yourself?
I just like look at him, I'm like, holy crap, I would never tell my parents that.
Do you want to lead by example and show them what it's like to make mistakes and be merciful and forgive yourself?
I feel like if I don't let it go, then I'm not giving it the attention that it needs to make sure it never happens again.
God is perfect. God does everything willingly. That probably needed to happen. All right, guys, today's guest is someone I deeply respect and admire, not just for what he teaches, but for how he lives his life. Larry is a transformative voice in modern fatherhood and marriage. He's the founder and the host of the #1 podcast, The Dad Edge, for high-performing fathers and husbands. He's racked up over 1,400 episodes over the last 10 years. So I'm so excited to get some of that wisdom in here for you guys. And Larry's journey started like so many of ours. His journey actually started with so much pain. And despite growing up without a stable father figure, he didn't let that define him. He used that void as fuel to become the father and the man that he actually wished he'd been. So now, as a father of four, best-selling author, speaker, and leader of powerful mastermind communities, Larry helps men step into their full potential at home and in life. So, whether you're chasing legacy, craving connection, or just trying to show up more powerfully for your family, Larry brings the wisdom, tools, and truth that every man needs to hear. And that's why I'm honored to welcome Larry to the show today. Awesome, Larry. Well, I'm so excited to get you in here. So, where are you located at?
I live in St. Louis, Missouri. So if the United States had a chest cavity and a heart, I guess I'd be right there in it.
Oh, okay. And how long have you been there?
I pretty much have been here my whole life. I mean, I was born in California. We moved back when I was just a little guy, so I don't even remember it. I moved away for a little bit for college and then moved away for college. And then I moved away for a couple of years for a career. And then I moved back about 22 years ago.
Okay. What did you go to college for?
I graduated with a degree in sports medicine with
Okay.
more of like an emphasis in athletic training, exercise science with a minor in nutrition. And I ended up going into medical device sales.
Oh, nice. How long
Yeah.
did you do that?
20 years.
What was it like doing that for so long?
I loved it. It was fascinating. I loved being in the OR. You know, I loved being the expert in our product. I wasn't expert in the surgery, but I was expert in our product. So I'd help the surgeons, you know, use our products during surgery, which I thought was just fascinating. You don't feel like a sales guy. You feel like somebody who's helping.
So you were
Yeah.
doing that for 20 years. What made you go away from that?
Dad Edge was always my podcast and writing books and blogs and all that. It was like really just this beautiful sort of therapeutic outlet that I really, really enjoyed. And it really got a lot more traction under it than what I ever would have thought possible. It was 5 years ago. I was like, I think I'm going to go all in with this and just do it
Mm.
full time. And I did. And I left a very lucrative career, you know.
Yeah.
I actually left the industry at the top of executive management level. I was the national director of sales. So I was in charge of the
Wow.
entire country for one of our divisions. And I think my boss was floored when I told her I was leaving.
While you were doing the medical device sales or out doing that, what do you feel like was missing that had you start doing the Dad Edge and starting to blog, right? Because usually that's like there's a void. Let me put this out there to kind of address with what's underneath the surface.
I think for me, it was the missing ingredient was it wasn't money. I was making great money in my
Right.
career.
Right.
My thing is it was the relationships under my own roof and the relationship with myself and not having the know-how for being a good father, a good husband. Like I was just falling on my face just over and over again. And a lot of it probably had to do with like how I was brought up and my experience with father figures and my experience with my own dad. And I made a decision before I got married. I was like, I only want to be married once. You know, my mom was married 3 times, and there was also like a revolving door of like just really toxic, horrible, abusive men that were in and out of my life. growing up, and I was like, I'm gonna make sure I get this one right. I didn't know what good looked like. Because I didn't know what good looked like, I wasn't great at it at all. And I also made a promise to myself. I was like, I really had a crazy sort of unpredictable, uncertain, sort of abusive childhood. I'm not going to do that to my kids, and I'm going to be a good father. And I would say I wasn't abusive, but I wasn't really there. I wasn't playing an active role. When Dad Edge really came about because I wish I could say it was a really great moment, but it was a dark moment. It was a horrible moment. My 4-year-old,
Those are the great moments. Those are the great moments.
yeah, yeah, they can lead you to greatness, which is outstanding. But the moment that I had with my 4-year-old, who's now 17, would never even think to do this to him now because he's 17. He's a starting center on his football team and he's a beast. He stepped out of line. I spanked him.
Mm,
And I never want to spank my kids. I want to be the dad that never put my hands on my kids out of anger. And I did that in a reactionary way. And it got really bad because I hit him, I spanked him. And unfortunately, I spanked him hard and he hit the ground. He actually fell by my hands. And immediately I knew exactly what I did. And I was like, oh my God, like what did I just do? And I went to go pick him up. So I was like, oh my God, I'm really sorry. I went to go like hold my hands out and he like turned over and he saw me coming and he literally just put his hands up and closed his eyes. He thought I was going to come hurt him again.
mm,
And I was like, I was like, no, 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 this is not going to happen. So that's when Dad Edge got started. It was like literally 2012. I decided in that moment, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I was
mm.
like, and I'm sick and tired of not knowing what I'm doing.
Wow.
Here's the crazy thing. You and I were talking about medical device sales, and I think it's a really good comparison. So that night after that incident happened, I was really emotional, because I grew up being hit. I didn't want to hit my kids. Especially like, I mean, that was 13 years ago. I can't get that image out of my mind
Yeah.
of how he looked at me and how terrified he was of me. It still kills me to talk about it. Like, cause I kind of
Mm.
relive it. Kills
Haven't
me.
forgiven yourself for that?
It's funny. Another podcast host just asked me for that very same question.
Yeah.
And the answer to that is I'm in the process of it now. And that was years ago. It was because that same podcast guests challenged me to forgive myself. It actually became a reel on our Instagram, like I think it was yesterday
Oh,
or the
wow.
day before. So it's really interesting you're asking me that question.
It's not
But
me. It's probably from the big guy upstairs
yeah,
that's knowing that what a beautiful opportunity for you to use that for what it was, but also, this is what I love about talking to faith-based men is, what is God? He's merciful and just. And
yeah.
so he's merciful, he forgives regardless.
I would say I'm getting there. It's hard for me to forget it, but and
You don't have to forget it. And I would say that that might be the challenge of maybe your fear of, I need to release this, but this has created who you are. So there's room for you to have both of, I'm going to get emotional thing, but like that was an amazing, terrible thing. But also without that, you wouldn't have had this awakening of what am I doing? Who am I? How can I surrender?
it's a good point.
That it
And
doesn't have to go away. Like use it for what it is, but also forgive yourself. And I would challenge you to talk to your son and see is he holding it against you? Because I mean, at 4, he probably like I did had similar experiences in mine, and my kids don't even remember that I ever spanked him. And I was
yeah,
just like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad, but I was an idiot. I didn't know any better. That's like getting mad at a 2-year-old for not knowing how to do calculus or sales. It's like, what did you expect? You didn't know any better. You were an idiot.
the funny thing is my son does forgive me. He's told me that. Like he's like, I don't even remember it. And I'm like, I know. But you're right. I mean, there is that forgiveness factor and I do need to do that. I will tell you this. The realization that I think happened that night, because like I said, I was emotional. I was in my office. I was beating myself up, not physically, but I was like beating myself up for having that moment. But I zoomed out from that and I started to think about a few things. And I'm like, why is this area of my life such a challenge?
Which area?
Fatherhood.
Okay.
Fatherhood and actually marriage too. Like family was a challenge for me. And I'm like, what, why is this? I was like, I'm a man, I'm a husband, I'm a father. Like, shouldn't I have this like locked in like somehow? And then I
Interesting.
really started thinking about things. And I started thinking about things in my life that I was pretty good at. Like I was pretty good at my job. And I started looking at my job and I'm like, why am I pretty good at my job? Well, number one, I do love people and I love being a problem solver, but why am I good at this? Like Well, shoot, man, my company put me through 90 days of training before they even allowed me to set foot in the OR.
Mm.
Like, and that was even supervised for 60 days. Every surgery I was in, I had basically a trainer with me to make sure that I was instructing these doctors, these surgeons right. And then I started looking at other areas. Like, I got a 4 year degree in sports medicine. I know everything there is to know about the body and nutrition and everything else. I'm pretty good at that. Why is that? Well, it's because I learned. And the same thing was true. I loved martial arts. I used to do martial arts all the time. I did it for about 12 years. And I was like, why do I have that one? Why am I pretty good at that? Well, I go to class every week. I learn from an instructor. I have a mentor. I have people I can spar with. Well, what have I done in fatherhood and marriage? And the answer to that was nothing. I hadn't picked up a book. I hadn't listened to a podcast. There was nothing. And I was like, could there be a correlation? Yeah, I'm sure there is. But number two, what if I literally just said, I have no clue what I'm doing? And I have no clue what I'm doing because, quite frankly, I've never taken the opportunity to learn. What would it be like if I learned and just became a student of it? And that's where this podcast and this movement was born. It was like, let me just go see if I can learn. Let me go talk to people that are smarter than me and learn. And that's what the podcast has been for the past 10 years.
So let me ask you this, Larry. So obviously your son's forgiven you for that. My question is, what would you need to happen, or what would is it that you would need to be true in order to forgive yourself for what happened?
You asking me that question automatically starts digging into my self-limiting beliefs of why I feel like I need to hold on to this. And I think so I'll answer your question. I think I'll jump ahead a couple of questions and just say this. I feel like if I don't let it go, then I'm not giving it the attention that it needs to make sure it never happens again.
Mm.
If
Mhm.
that makes any sense. So it's
Makes
almost like
perfect.
there's a part of me that's like, I feel like if I don't beat myself up for it,
Mhm.
then I'm letting myself off the hook for it, which makes it okay. It wasn't okay.
Mhm.
And I never want to be like, it's okay. The other thing about it as well is like, I haven't done that since, but there's that part of me of like, well, if I don't continue to beat myself up about it and I let myself off the hook, what if I do it again?
Mhm.
So there's like this sort of double-edged sword of like these very ingrained beliefs in me about it that quite frankly, even as I talk about them, I'm like, you're full of crap. You know that's not true. But yet I'll still continue to engage in it and believe in it because I want to prevent it from
Mhm.
happening again. Isn't that crazy?
No, I mean, that's being human. The pinnacle, and this is what I love to do and everything I do, is maybe from being an engineer for so long. And I'm sure you guys did the same thing in medical device. Like when you're talking to someone for sales, you want to figure out what is their domino belief. Like, what is the thing that I need to knock over so that I can get them closer to the sale? Like, are you interested in something that can help people with repairing their spine or whatever? And if they say no, then we're done. But anyway, back to yours. Yours is, if I release this, or at least I'm going to paraphrase, if I release this, then I'm going to forget. And your fear is that you're not capable of releasing this and not beating yourself up and going back and doing it again.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Do you want to do anything with that? Or just, yeah, that's okay. I'm fine living, continuing to go on that way.
I think there's an internal battle as I think about it.
Hmm.
If I'm just being very honest with myself, the internal battle is like, dude, you need to let this go.
You
Like, come
need to or
on.
you want to.
Like that I need to.
Okay, you don't want to let it go though?
There's a part of me that doesn't want to, if I'm being like super honest,
Yeah,
because I feel like,
obviously. Usually
yeah,
when I ask people, do you need or you want? And they're like, oh yeah, I want to. But
yeah,
you don't want to.
there's a part of me that doesn't want to just,
Yeah.
and I know it sounds crazy, but it's more like if I do that, will I, the fears I was talking to you about, will those happen? So
And
it's almost like this self-preservation thing maybe going on.
100%. And welcome to life. I mean,
Right.
this is what I love about spirituality is the difference between spirituality and being atheist or whatever is the difference between fear and faith. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree.
And the way you go from fear to faith is with courage.
Very true.
So your fear is I'll do it again. But what if you have faith in yourself? And I love faith-based people. Who cares about self? Like, let's get that out of the equation because that's literally what brought you to your knees. You tried to do stuff on your own, and at that moment, You probably, I don't know if at that moment were you spiritual? Were you praying or?
No,
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Welcome to being normal because that's pretty common. But at that moment, you gave up on yourself and was like, cool, I'm not enough. What else is out there that's better than who I am? And so you started to research from other people, whatever. But like now that you're faith based, like you get to empty out and you don't have to just have faith in yourself and your ability to do it, but faith in God. What more would you need
there's nothing else I would need.
other than having the courage?
Having the courage to do it.
Yeah.
The funny thing is this is I'm a faith-based person and I know how merciful God is and I know how merciful we are even as fathers, you know. Here's the funny thing
Yeah.
is that if my son came to me with the exact same message that I just brought to you,
Mhm.
I would be telling him like, dude, it's time.
Right.
You got to let this go. It's like it's killing your soul to hold on to it, you know? And so the funny thing is I would advise somebody else to let it go even if they didn't want to.
So how does it feel to be a hypocrite?
It feels great because I feel like everybody else.
Nice exit.
Right?
Nice exit. Touche.
Uh,
Well done.
that also, I think, really illustrates and shines a spotlight on how someone so blindly will deal with self preservation.
Hmm.
You know, like they refuse to let themselves off the hook, even if they know all the benefits of doing it and how it's probably holding them back.
Yeah.
But yet they're just convinced otherwise that it's not, you
Yeah.
know, and you're so right.
My question to you is, like you said, with your son, like what would you want from him? Would you want him to forgive? And I'm sure you understand this analogy, but like, because you could tell your kids, don't hit people. But if you're constantly hitting them, what is it that they're going to take away?
Yeah,
So
they're going
I
to do
would
the same.
challenge you to not be that hypocrite and make that oath for your children of what beautiful example you can give to your children of being like, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to do stuff that you would never want anyone else to do, but you're going to have to forgive yourself. And you're not going to hold on to that forever because,
Yeah.
like you said, it's damaging your soul.
It is. And, you know, it's interesting. Ever since that podcast came out with the show that I was on, where, I mean, you can go to my Instagram actually today and you'll see, I think it's one of the first few things that pops up on the feed. He's like, you know, have you forgiven yourself?
Mhm.
And I was like, no. And he's like, he stared me like this death stare. He's like, it's time.
Mm.
You know, you got to let
But you
that
have to
go.
want it. Like you,
Yeah.
you really have to switch that I need to I want to. And this is what I love about coaching fathers. We're so good at just this is who I am, this is how I do it. But people that have children, they're playing with such a bigger game. They're able to do stuff for their children. So, my invitation for you, Larry, I know you don't want to let go of it, but I would challenge you to do it for them, if not for yourself. Do you want to be that hypocrite? Or do you want to lead by example and show them what it's like to make mistakes and be merciful and forgive yourself? Not that you're going to forget it, but you're going to learn from it and accept, I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be a switch. It's not like, okay, one day it's going to be great. It's just consciously, whenever that thought comes up that, oh my gosh, I'm terrible. I can't believe I did that, of saying, you know what, that was an important moment and I didn't know any better. It gets to be both.
Very true. I almost feel like I have to go through some sort of process
Sure.
to like, so like, for instance, if I were to just say, you know what, cool, I'm letting it go. I think what I really need to do is I need to spend time probably in prayer with this one
100%.
and to sit with God and to just listen. One of the things that I've discovered here as of the past few years is how powerful it is to not pray,
Mm.
but instead during your prayer to listen.
Oh, right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's absolutely unbelievable the things that come up, that come to the surface. And perhaps the one thing I haven't done about this is I haven't sat with that silence of like, what do I do with this?
Yeah. Or how
You
do I
know?
forgive myself?
Yeah, how do I forgive myself? It's funny that we're talking about this because it's something that after I saw that video clip yesterday of the other podcast host who challenged me to this of forgiving myself, I started thinking about all the interactions that I have, like even on a daily basis with my four boys. My oldest, it's like this effortless relationship, you know, where we talk and it's super easy. He tells me like everything. And when I say he tells me everything, like there are some things he lays on me that I just like look at him. I'm like, holy crap! I would never tell my parents that, you know. And it's just like,
Beautiful.
wow. And I feel very blessed that we have that.
Yeah.
My 11-year-old, amazing connection with him. We spend really good amounts of time with each other and talking and talking about like young man things and little boy things. And then I just, it's a great relationship. And the same thing with my 9-year-old. Like we're in that stage right now where we are developing like this connection. And I feel every time I look at him in the face and in the eyes, like I feel good, what I feel.
Hmm.
With my 17-year-old, he's huge. He's like this ginormous. He's only 5'9", but he's 205 pounds.
Wow.
And he is the on the offensive line. And he just got in the 1,000 pound club in his high school for bench, squat, and
Mm.
clean. So like he's the 11th kid in his entire high school to ever hit the 1,000 pound club. He's this big, strong dude, but he is an absolute marshmallow. Like when it comes to
Mm.
family, but on the football field, he's a monster.
Yeah.
So he's bigger than me, like by 40 pounds. And none of my kids are bigger than me except for him. And when I see him and he's like this, he is a marshmallow teddy bear as well, like a very loving kid, but he's also very quiet. He's very
Mhm.
stoic and he's very introverted. And when I see him, like look at him in his deep eyes, I love him. And there's that part of me. I still see that little boy that I hit.
Mm.
I see this giant lug of a marshmallow, wonderful kid
Yeah.
who's just so strong of body and mind. And I feel like there's like this element of disappointment in our relationship that's probably coming from me that I don't feel with the other three.
Yeah.
And it's weird. And it's hung on for a while.
Do you want to continue to hang on to it?
Now, now it
Eh,
sucks.
Then that would be my challenge to you. Just lead with that question. How can I release this? You don't have to know how or when, but it's starting with that want. Like, I want to be fully there and have the same thing that I have with my other children with him. Was he the one that was on your, that jump? Which one's your oldest? What's his
My
name?
oldest is my 19-year-old. Yeah, he's the one we do my Wednesday shows with him every week.
Oh, okay. Not saying what for you to, what if you had a podcast episode about this?
With him,
Yeah.
he's given me very specific directions that he will never be on the podcast. He
Oh,
says he's way too he's like that scares me. Like I say,
yeah.
he's very introverted. He's
Yeah.
like I would never want to be on a podcast. That
Okay.
scares the
That's
crap
fine.
out of me.
Then, yeah. But maybe you just have a sit down and just start with that. Go to him and say, hey, what's his name?
Mason.
Do you notice a disconnect sometimes that it feels like I'm not fully here? And I'm sure he's going to tell you absolutely not. Or maybe he says, yeah. Then you just tell him what you want. I want to forgive myself for what I did to you. And I'm so sorry. But I know I didn't know any better. And I would challenge you that God is perfect, God does everything willingly. That probably needed to happen. Because if it didn't, bro, like you're make me cry. Think of the number of people's lives that you've impacted. Think of the number of fathers that are no longer probably hitting their kid. Think of the impact that's been made because of that one incident. It doesn't make it right, wrong, anything. It just is, and everything that's came from it.
That's
But I
really true.
guarantee once you're able to release that, I know for me, I used to not be able to love myself. And then I went through this whole thing, but I thought that I was loving my kids to their full ability because I was this alpha of like, I do everything and I'm so amazing and I'm all these things. So I was like, oh my gosh, I love my kids so much, but I was a fraud until I learned how to love myself. I was like, oh my gosh, this level of love that now I'm able to give them and people like you and other people, like it's not even comparable. And so I'm sure the same things happen between you and Mason. He probably doesn't even notice. But as soon as you can forgive yourself and love yourself between your relationship between the two of you, that level of love that now you can give him is going to be so much more.
I agree. And the thing about it too is that if I were to go to him and tell him about this, he would look at me. I know him well enough. He'd be like, "You're dumb."
Yeah.
Like, just he would probably tell me, "He's like, it doesn't even cross my mind." And
But maybe you have to keep going until your stupid butt believes it.
yeah, that's so true. That is
Dad,
so
you're
true.
dumb. Dad, you're dumb. Dad, you're dumb. Dad, when are you gonna let it go?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's very, very true. I mean, how much do I owe you for this podcast? I feel like I should be paying
Zero.
you for a
Dude,
coaching
think of the
session.
number of people that this is gonna help that are holding on to something else that they want to let go, but they don't know how. And so this would be my recommendation for anyone that has something and they don't know how to let go of it. All you have to start with is I want to release it. I don't know how and I don't know when. I mean, this is what I love going back to Genesis. Like literally the original sin was eating the apple, not to eat the apple, but eating the forbidden fruit because then you'd be like God. And that's what we all try to do in our lives. I want to know when. I want to know how. I am instead of he is.
Yeah, so true.
And so if we can release that and literally like that's what you did at that moment. You surrendered. You'd be like, I'm tired of trying to do this fatherhood on my own. I'm tired of believing that I know everything. I'm going to submit. I'm going to bow down and I'm going to listen. And I want to get better, right? That's what you said. I want to be better. I don't know how, I don't know when, but it just starts with I want.